Hey guys, this is Darby Hallman from Nerds at Large, and just a little heads up about this video. I made it several months ago, and it was intended to have a video and a music component to go along with my script. But once I made it and tried to upload it, it got taken down and blocked in a bunch of countries by Netflix. I tried multiple different ways of cutting out some songs or, cutting out the music entirely and just having the video, but it's just not going to work. There's just no way to make it work, unfortunately. So instead of not uploading it or having to re-record the entire thing, I'm just going to leave the script that I had written in this video. There just won't be a video or music component to it. So the reason I'm jumping in here and saying this is some of the times when I'm talking might seem kind of awkward, like there was probably supposed to be a cutaway to a scene from the show, or music was supposed to start playing, or something else. And some of the things that I'm setting up kind of just don't happen in this video. So just letting you know. I mean, I'm just kind of letting you know that this video might be a little off, but I still think that what I say in here is really important. And I really love this show, so I want to get across, I want to get that across in some way. Also, I want to bring back this Why I Love series, which I do talk about a little bit in this video, and I still fully intend to do that, but please don't look at this video as a template for how that's going to happen. This is very much kind of a one-off random thing that I, thought about not uploading, but decided to upload anyway. But when I do these in the future, they're going to be pretty different than this one is. Okay, so with that said, I'm going to stop rambling on and let you listen to what I have to say about Carole Tuesday, an amazing show that I think you should watch. Thank you, and here you go. Enjoy. Hey guys, so about a year ago, I put out a video all about why I love Night in the Woods. I really enjoyed making that video, and I kind of want to take the concept that I was going for there and propel it into a series of videos for our channel. Don't know how often I'll update this, but just whenever it speaks to me. I think I've noticed that I, like many other people, struggle with negativity. I think it's very easy to look towards the negative side of life and complain about things and think about what's wrong. I kind of think that's human beings' default state, is to look for what's wrong in a situation or to just kind of complain. I mean, I don't know. We love to complain. I love to complain as well. Unfortunately, it's something that we do. But there are many, many things to be positive about in my life, and there are many things that I'm very thankful for, and many things that just kind of purely make me happy. And that's kind of what I want to go for with this series. I kind of want to partially for people to watch and enjoy and maybe get recommendations from things that I say, but also this is partially, self-help for myself to look towards the things that make me happy, kind of drill down and, figure out what it is about them that makes me happy, and just kind of break off a piece of positivity and share it with the world. So I'm looking forward to it. And the first one of these, or second, including the Night in the Woods video, that I'm going to do this on is the anime Carole Tuesday. Carole Tuesday is a 24-episode anime series directed by Shinichiro Watanabe, who is the director of Cowboy Bebop, which is my favorite anime of all time. The show takes place in a slightly futuristic setting where humanity has largely migrated to Mars, and we follow two teenage girls, Carole and Tuesday, as they try to break into the music scene on Mars. Tuesday is the daughter of a famous politician who's running for president, and she has kind of lived a sheltered life where she was never able to see the world or really speak out in fear of tarnishing her mother and her family's name. Carole is about the complete opposite, being a refugee from Earth who never knew her parents and had to scrape by and work hard to get anything in life. We see the pair go through the struggles of being broke musicians who are trying to compete with a music industry that is driven and led by AI-created songs. The characters are obviously very charming and lovable, and that's one of the driving factors for why the show works so well. But there is something a little deeper underneath the surface. It reminds me of A Place Further Than the Universe, which is a show I will definitely be doing one of these episodes on. But it reminds me of that show in the sense that it kind of appears like it's a cute anime girls doing cute things show. And it is that, but it's also much deeper. And if you peel back that first layer that will kind of like draw you into the show, you realize that it's actually saying a lot, and it's actually, has a lot deeper themes than initially it lets on. The show actually commentates on some pretty heavy topics that I didn't expect to see, like immigration and political campaigns, or fame, drug use, body image, LGBTQ issues. There's lots of things in here that really you wouldn't expect from the show just on the surface if you had seen the first episode or even the first few episodes. It kind of catches you off guard, but I really liked it. I don't think that Carole Tuesday exactly sticks the landing on all the different things it was trying to commentate on, but I left the show being very glad that it tried to do what it did. It was very ambitious, even if some of the resolutions didn't hit quite as hard as maybe it should have, and I think the writers kind of got tangled in their own plot. But no matter what, it was actually pretty refreshing. But, of course, if I think about the main thing that made me happy while watching Carole Tuesday and made me excited to come home from work and put the show on, was absolutely the music. The music in this show is so good. It's very clear that Watanabe is very passionate about music. If you've seen any episode of Cowboy Bebop, Samurai Champloo, Kids on the Slope, or Carole Tuesday, you'll see that music is arguably one of the most important elements in all of these shows. But what makes Carole Tuesday so uniquely cool is that the music is not only establishing the tone and the vibe of the show, but the music is actually integral to telling the story. Pretty much every song we hear in the show has a story behind it. We get to see Carole Tuesday rehearsing and practicing and slowly building the song together. Or if it's one of their rival musicians, we see the song pulled out in a grand competition or a concert, and it's an event that, this actual character that you've seen in the story in some sort of arc is busting out the song that is, kind of highlights their career, whether it's one of the older musicians and we're doing a flashback, or they're bringing a song back, or it's a new musician putting out their song for the first time. Every time you hear a song, you know who it's coming from and you know what it means. It's not just music at that point. It's also part of the storytelling, which is really, really neat. There's one episode in particular that I am going to kind of slightly spoil here, so, be warned. But Carole Tuesday's manager, Gus, runs into an old singer that he used to manage named Flora. We get to see a flashback of her performing her signature song, Give You the World, and it's a, powerful, soulful, Aretha Franklin-esque song with just these confident, awesome vocals, and you get to see the young version of her performing this, and it's just a really cool moment. But then it cuts to the modern day, and you see that Flora has really fallen off. She has hit rock bottom. She has fallen from grace hard. And this is a theme that Carole Tuesday hits very often, of how the music industry is a young person's game, and whenever you fall out hard, and that fame can do very bad things to you and lead you to bad places. And Carole Tuesday is kind of also about the older generation bringing up the newer generation. There's multiple figures in Carole Tuesday's life who are older music professionals, and almost every one of them have fallen out in some way or have some demons behind them that are weighing them down. And we see the younger generation and the older generation help each other. The older characters use their mistakes and experiences to guide Carole Tuesday and help them navigate the waters as they rise up in popularity. And these younger characters like Carole Tuesday show the older generation that there is still magic in music, and there's still something to look forward to and something to be hopeful for. And I don't think there's any better place where this theme is captured than when Carole Tuesday perform a cover of Flora's Give You the World at South by Southwest. In this single episode, we hear the Give You the World song twice, once with Flora in that flashback, and then again at the end of the episode when Carole Tuesday are covering it. And even in that one episode, you get the nostalgia for that song in a weird way, but you also kind of hear, you're familiar with Carole Tuesday at this point, and you hear them covering the song that meant a lot to them and influenced them as musicians. And you see what it means to Flora. And I don't know, this scene just really, really hit me. I think we're all used to, hearing younger artists cover old songs, and you kind of hear what their take on it is and the subtle differences. And now listening for those subtle differences kind of felt like it had an emotional impact, because you feel like Carole Tuesday and you know their style, and it's really interesting to see them take this in-universe old song, and obviously influenced by Aretha Franklin and other older soul singers, and to kind of hear their modern take on it, and then to see Flora see herself in their performance and start, singing along in the crowd. It was all top notch, and it all just made me feel really, really happy after watching that episode. The music in Carole Tuesday and the use of it has to be my favorite of pretty much, I think it's my favorite of any show I've ever watched. I mean, it is Carole Tuesday's signature thing, but they do it so well. There are artists that are represented in this show that I don't even really like in real life, but it was done so genuinely and with so much passion in this show that I loved it anyway. It wore its inspirations on its sleeve, and I think that was a good thing. There were multiple characters that were very obvious parallels to real life musicians like Beyonce, Aretha Franklin, Whitney Houston. It's everywhere. And even the episode titles are titles of popular, pop and rock songs mostly from like the 70s and 80s and 90s. And it's one big love letter to music and the music industry. And especially if you are into those things, I think this is, it'll enhance the show even more. But even if you're not, the way that it's done makes you feel like you want to be into the music industry and you want to hear more about these things, because it's such a great, just warm and positive love letter to this, while also looking at the more nasty sides of it and how being famous and being a popular musician can corrupt you in certain ways and can open you up to kind of outright terrifying fans and just lack of privacy. It goes a lot of cool places, but I do think Carole Tuesday manages to keep that charm all the way through. Some of these characters are legitimately some of my favorite of any show I've ever watched. They're very charming and lighthearted a lot of the times, and it makes watching Carole Tuesday just a nice warm activity you can do with a warm cup of coffee and just on your couch watching Carole Tuesday, and that's how I felt a lot of times watching it. But also, it's not just a happy-go-lucky zero drama show either. And I also think that it makes some pretty awesome progressive moves for an anime. I'm not really someone who watches a ton of anime, so I'm not a huge authority on this, but I think it's pretty well known that a lot of Japanese animes and other things like that can have a problem with showing other races and other sexualities and things like that. There can, again, I'm not an authority. I know that it's not always the case, but and generalizing can be bad, but I know there are a lot of animes and a lot of Japanese properties that can be a struggle. But I love that Carole Tuesday is really, really seems like it's putting its foot down to not have that kind of problem, because there are just black characters that are actual real black characters. They're not just, weird caricatures, but they're also not completely devoid of black culture. There's a lot of, hairstyles and music and just everything else about these characters of various different races, and they seem true to who they are. It's not some joke, or it's not some like fascination. It's just they're people. And same thing with LGBTQ stuff. There are characters that are just gay, and they're gay, and that's it. And there's not some big deal made about it. They're just gay, or they're trans. I mean, there's lots of just people are just people in this show. And I mean, I know that shouldn't be the craziest thing, but I mean, let's be honest, in a lot of shows and different properties, that is a big thing. And it was refreshing for me to see, and it definitely made me happy watching it. So to conclude, Carole Tuesday was a very charming and just beautiful visually and especially musically show that was just an absolute joy for me to watch every day. I was pretty obsessed with it for a while. I put it down pretty quickly, and it was just so much fun. And I was glad that it took on the political and social issues that it did, but also maintained an optimistic and positive tone. Sure, it might not be the most realistic at times, but it is kind of nice to see some of the big issues that we're all having to deal with day in and day out, especially with an election coming up. And it's nice to see all those issues handled with a bit of positivity. It makes you, after watching this, it made me think about some of the like hard things that I should be thinking about, but it kind of leaves you with the feeling that everything's going to be okay, and that, to look at the brighter side of life. And while I don't think that's healthy all the time, I think it is very nice for a show like this, and it's good for us to kind of, look at themes of coming together and feeling like we can overcome adversity. Because in these very troubling and uncertain times, it's good to keep your head up and to believe that everyone can stand together. To sum up my rambling, I love Carole Tuesday.